Shalom, shalom. Most High Christ bless. Welcome to another episode of 15 Minutes with the Captains. I'm Captain Naam.
Officer Silas.
All right, and today's topic we're going to touch on is commandments of kings. All right, and it's sparked via this last Feast of Purim. Right. So let's get that. Esther 13 and 4. Esther 13 and 4.
This is the book of Esther, chapter 13 and verse 4. Declared unto us that in all nations throughout the world there was scattered a certain malicious people that had laws contrary to all nations and continually despised the commandments of kings, so as the uniting of our kingdoms honorably intended by us cannot go forward.
Right. So understanding, this is the kings, right, which is the Persians, and Haman that wants to do what? Unite the kingdoms, right? As we go read in Maccabees, but we ain't there yet. But let's get this. It said, declare unto us that in all nations throughout the world, so right here it's talking about the actual world, there was scattered a certain malicious people. There was scattered. So first off, malicious. Get Deuteronomy 4 and 27. These nations understand who was scattered. We didn't know before we came into this truth, right, that we were the scattered ones, the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But now we know. And understand, they're saying that malicious people, malicious, the word is with malice, intending to do harm, or hostile, synonyms, hostile, cruel, unkind. That's not us at all right? We are the kindest people you will ever meet, all right? So read that.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, in verse 27. And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number.
So the Most High scattered us among the nations. Among who? All the nations of the earth. Why? Because we sinned against him. All right? Was that it on that?
No, sir.
Go ahead.
And you shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither the Lord shall send you, shall lead you.
Whether the Most High scattered us among the heathen. Deuteronomy 32 and 8. All right? Because these nations know and understand about our laws that were given to us. Right? Because the Most High gave them their own place to dwell as us. All right. He separated us. All right. They understand we're not like them. Read that.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32, in verse 8. When the Most High divided the nations, their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel.
Right. So he gave us our portion and then gave the other nations their portion. They understand we're not the same. They understand that our laws are contrary to all nations because we're not all the same. All right. They understand this, but we as a people, we don't understand this. Right. From there, let's get Leviticus 20 and 23. All right. You got to understand these nations understand what we don't understand. If they keep us in sin and following their ways outside of our God's ways, they continue to rule. All right? They comprehend this. We don't. Read that.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 20 and verse 23. And ye shall not walk in the manners of the nation.
You should not what?
And ye shall not walk in the manners of the nation.
The Most High God told us we should not be as these heathen, as these nations. All right? Keep reading.
Which I cast out before you. For they committed all these things, and therefore I abhorred them.
The Most High say he abhorred them. He hate them. He hate these nations. have nothing to do with us.
That's right.
He hates them, all right? He abhors them, all right? Why? Because their mannerisms, their manners are not like us, all right? Keep reading.
Verse 24.
Uh-huh.
But I have said unto you, ye shall inherit their land, and I will give it unto you to possess it, a land that floweth with milk and honey. I am the Lord your God, which have separated you from other people.
The Most High God separated us from the other nations, right? So from there, and with that, he gave us commandments. He gave us dietary laws, moral laws, civil laws, ceremonial and sacrificial. But do we do sacrificial no more? No. All right, because Christ was that ultimate sacrifice. All right. So let's go to Psalms 106 and verse 34. All right. Understanding all these things that we're bringing out is showing you that from the beginning, the Most High separated us from the nations. But us as a people, we wanted and envied the other nations. All right. That's why as they had kings, we wanted kings. All right. And at the end of the day, we started following everything that these nations did. All right. Read that.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 106, in verse 34. They did not destroy the nations concerning whom the Lord commanded them.
The Most High God commanded us to destroy certain nations. Via who? Amalek? Yeah, to name one. Go ahead.
But were mingled among the heathen.
It said, but were mingled amongst the heathen. Go ahead.
And learned their works.
We learned their works. We learned how to eat abominable foods. We learned how to worship what? Their fake holy days, right? Their solemn feasts, right? Go ahead.
Verse 36. And they served their idols.
We served their idols. We learned idolatry from them. Go ahead.
Which were a snare unto them.
They say which were a snare unto us. Because it took us away from what? Our God. Go ahead.
Yea, they sacrificed their sons and their daughters unto devils.
So we did what? We sacrificed. We aborted. That's today it's called abortion. That's what we did to our children willfully. Jump to verse 41.
Verse 41. And he gave them unto the hand of the heathen.
The Most High said, you want to be like them? Here you go. Go ahead.
And they that hated them ruled over them.
He say they that hated them. So these nations understand and know who you be, and they hate you for it. But you want to be like them in all things. We're going to read that in a minute. So now, let's get an understanding of our people following the commandments of kings. You got to understand the mindset of the kings of this earth, the presidents, the diplomats, the princesses, and who are the over there in, I don't know.
You have presidents, you got kings, you have ambassadors, you have dictators.
All that, right. Give me 1 Maccabees 1 and 41, all right? 1 Maccabees 1 and 41. You got to understand that some of my people, they fear man versus God. So they will follow man because they fear him. They don't fear God because they don't see God. They see the power, the military, everything that this so-called white man has, and that puts fear on them. All right, read that. So they basically join out of fear, and out of other things, covetousness and wickedness and everything else as well. Go ahead.
1 Maccabees 1 and 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people.
All should be one people.
And everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
So everybody, all the heathen agreed to the commandment of the king. Right here, when we read in Esther 13 and verse 4, it says uniting. It says so as the uniting of our kingdoms. So all kingdoms are going to be what? On one accord. But the Most High God didn't make us to be on one accord with these kings or these nations. Go ahead.
Verse 42. And everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, Many also of the Israelites.
What?
Many also of the Israelites.
Many of the Israelites, the black, Hispanics, and Native Americans, go ahead.
Consented to his religion.
They agreed to do what? Do what he say. Forget what God say, but to do what the king say. All right, so we all can be one, united in one. All right, go ahead.
And sacrificed unto idols.
Every time we join with these heathen, what we doing? Sacrificing to idols. Sacrificing our children to idols, to fake gods. Go ahead.
And sacrificed unto idols and profane the Sabbath.
That's verse 44.
That's 43.
43.
44. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah that they should follow the strange laws of the land.
Strange laws of the land. These laws are strange to us. Homosexuality being passed as a law is strange to us. All right? What they call it today? Abortion. That's strange. Yes, that's legal. Non-gender binary. It's so much confusion. All right? I'm lost in it. Okay? I don't know all the terminology, but it's confusion to God. All right? It's simple if you follow God's commandments. All right? But we go jump to John 11 and 45. Because some of our people under duress, under fear of these nations, the so-called white man. When I say these nations, he's the main culprit, right? But then you have the other nations as well. They have power, right? But he's the main seat of Satan. All right, let's read.
This is the book of John, chapter 11 and verse 45. Then many of the Jews which came to Mary and had seen the things which Jesus did, believed on him.
So some of our people did believe on Jesus. They believed on Christ. They believed that he was the Son of God. They believed he came to what? Die for their sins and to deliver them and to save them, right? But they wasn't at that time, but they believed on these things, right? And they believe in what? He was the ultimate sacrifice as well. Go ahead.
Verse 46, but some of them went their ways to the Pharisees and told them what things Jesus had done.
So then now you have the traitors. You have the fearful. You have the unbelieving. All right? These are the ones that will adhere to the commandments of kings. To say, can we all just get along? To say we all nations. To say what? White lives matter as well. All right? Keep reading. All lives matter, right?
Verse 46. Verse 47. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees a council and said. So
these are the leaders. The leaders, the Pharisees, came together, and the scribes doing what? Saying what they have to do against who? The Savior. Yeah. Go ahead.
What do we? For this man doeth many miracles. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him.
So we allow him to keep doing what he's doing, everybody go believe on him. You understand? Go ahead.
And the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation.
So that means what? They go come and take away our positions. They go come and take away the gifts that they have given us. All right? The benefits, right? All these things that our people receive for what? Being betrayers of their people. All right? They love the commandments of king more than they love their people. All right? That was verse 48?
That was 48.
All right. Today, that's your politicians, your pastors, but more so the higher-ups. All right? Those people in Congress. All right? You got your governors, your mayors. All these people are in cahoots with who? The man or the kings. All right? From there, let's go to 2 Maccabees 4 and verse 1. Verse 13, I'm sorry. We're going to read about another person that is fearful, unbelieving, and succumbs to who? The commandments of kings versus the fear of the Most High and the succumbing of the commandments. Read that. 4 and 13.
This is the book of 2 Maccabees chapter 4 and verse 13. Now, such was the height of Greek fashions.
So these are the Greeks, right? And this is what? Another captivity that we was in. Go ahead.
An increase of heathenish manners.
Increase of heathenish manners. heathenish, not Israelite manners, but heathen manners. We read this earlier about manners. Go ahead.
An increase of heathenish manners through the exceeding profaneness of Jason, that ungodly wretch and no high priest.
He was a wretch. He was no high priest. He was ungodly. All right. Meaning he went opposite of what? The commandments. He didn't teach. He didn't have a rapport of teaching Israel what God said to do. He wasn't an example of righteousness. He was an example of unrighteousness. All right. Keep reading.
Verse 14, that the priest had no courage to serve any more the altar.
Right. He made them want to leave. Stop doing what the Most High ordered them to do. Go ahead.
But despising the temple and neglecting the sacrificing, hasten to be partakers of the unlawful allowance.
So he said, to hell with what God said do, and keeping the temple pure and clean and sacrificing unto him. I'm going to do what the heathen doing. Why? Because I love them. Go ahead.
In the place of exercise.
The place of exercise. The place to be naked. Gymnasium. Gymnos. All right. That's your friendly neighborhood white man, right? He loved all that nasty stuff. Go ahead.
After the game of discus called them forth.
That's your Olympics. All right. That's verse 16.
Verse 15. Not setting by the honors of their fathers.
We got to read that part because it says not setting by the honors of their father. What's the honor of their fathers? The commandments. That's right. Purim, right. All these feasts that God gave us, we're supposed to be setting by this. All right. Go ahead.
Not setting by the honors of their fathers, but liking the glory of the Grecians best of all.
He loved this. He loved the heathen. He loved the Greeks. He loved all that sodomy that was going on. Right. So from there, 2 Maccabees 14:3. Go read that real quick because you got to understand what I'm showing you is people, nation of Israel, that consented to the ways of the heathen, to the commandments of king. But I'm going to show you that our forefathers that didn't submit to the nations of their kings. Go ahead.
2 Maccabees 14 and verse 3. Now one Acclamus, who had been high priest and had defiled himself willfully.
Acclamus defiled himself willfully. That's most of our people in fear of the kings or in love with the kings of these nations. They're going to what? Willfully sin. Read.
Defiled himself willfully in the times of their mingling with the Gentiles, seeing that by no means he could save himself, nor have any more access to the holy altar, came to King Demetrius in 150th year, presenting unto him a crown of gold.
So he's what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, he's sold out. He's a sucker. He's a sucker. He's a sucker. Go ahead.
Came to King Demetrius in the 150th year, presenting unto him a crown of gold.
Right, so he's trying to buy his way into rulership, into a position. Go ahead.
And a palm, and also of the bowls which were used solemnly in the temple. And so that day he held his peace.
Right, so he took what was in the temple and gave to this damn heathen. That show you how much he hate his people and hate God. All right. Another example. Now let's go back to 2nd Ezra. I keep saying 2nd Ezra. Esther 13 and verse 5. All right. We read 4. Now we're going to get 5 and understand now what our people should be doing. Right. Should they be? We're going to see our forefathers that didn't submit. Right. And when I say submit, don't get it twisted. Right. When I say submit, meaning submitting to the evil or the wicked laws that they put forth, all right, that's contrary to the laws of God. That's what I mean, all right? Read that. 5.
Esther 13 and verse 5. Seeing then, we understand that this people alone is continually in opposition.
In opposition, meaning they not for to go with what you're saying, all right? You're going to have those that rise up that fear the Most High more than they fear man. And they're not going to do what man said. The law that they pass that's contrary to this word, they're not going to do it. Why? Because they fear God and they love God. Go ahead.
continually in opposition unto all men,
Mhm.
differing in the strange manner of their laws.
See that strange manner of their laws, but they liken the Grecians' laws in their manners, as Jason did. Go ahead.
And evil affected to our state, working all the mischief they can.
Right, because again, they wanted to be what? One people, one nation. Leave your laws and what's the word? Assimilate to our laws. All right, right. Democracy, all that. Go ahead.
Working all the mischief they can, that our kingdom may not be firmly established.
Right. So that's what they saying, that they didn't want to establish, well, we didn't want to establish their kingdom. All right. So from there, let's get an example. We're going to run through these. Daniel's 1 and verse 6. This is an example of us being under the king, right? And us what? Being able to what? Keep our commandments. All right. Let's read that.
This is the book of Daniel, chapter 1, starting at verse 6. Now among these were the children of Judah, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Verse 7, unto whom the prince of the eunuchs gave names, for he gave unto Daniel the name of Belshazzar, and to Hananiah Shadrach, and to Mishael Meshach, and to Azariah Abednego.
Keep going.
But Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat.
So you see, Daniel stood up for righteousness. Daniel said, okay, because I'm eloquent, because I have understanding, when you read verse 4, and put in a position to be able to what? Help my people. I'm not going to succumb to the defiled customs of who? This king, of a heathen. Keep going.
Portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore he requested of the prince of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself. Now God hath brought Daniel into favor and tender love with the prince of the eunuchs.
So the Most High put favor on this heathen, right? To allow Daniel to what? Eat clean food. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 9. Now God had brought Daniel into favor and tender love with the prince of the eunuchs. And the prince of the eunuchs said unto Daniel, I fear my lord the king, who hath appointed your meat and your drink.
So he said he feared the king. Not our king, but that king, okay? King of Babylon. All right, Nebuchadnezzar. Go ahead.
For why should he see your faces, worse liking than the children which are of your sort? Then shall ye make me in danger, my head to the king.
Right, so he was scared, right? But understanding the Most High put the spirit on Daniel to say what? We're not eating that. Yeah, we go be all right, and he go take care of us. He go fight for us. That's the spirit that we all have to have, all right? Daniel 3 and verse 15. Daniel 3 and 15. One more example, all right? Go ahead.
Daniel chapter 3 and verse 15. Now, if ye be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music.
So this is another commandment the king made. Just like us today with what? The Pledge of Allegiance, right? Remember the Star Spangled Banner, who was his name? That didn't want to kneel? I forget.
Colin Kaepernick.
Colin Kaepernick. He didn't want to kneel. Or he didn't want to do he kneeled. All right. He didn't want to do the pledge. Right, yeah. So the point is, he didn't submit, all right, to that custom. The same thing with our forefathers. They didn't submit to this custom because this idol that he built, that's going against our God. All right. Exodus chapter 20. Keep reading.
And all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made.
You see that? Go ahead.
Well, but if you worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands?
See, these nations have no respect. They have no fear of our God. our God has to continue to remind them who he is. All right. Just like he did with Egypt, he go remind America as well. All right. Keep reading.
Verse 17.
If
it be so, our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace.
So they put their trust in the Most High. They didn't fear man. They didn't fear the king and his laws he set up, right? His decrees he set up. No, they said, nah, that's going against my God. As Daniel and they did with the meat, right? The same thing they're doing with this idol. We're not doing that, right? Go ahead.
Of the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then was
So that's it. That's it. So we're not going to worship that image that you set up. All right. So from there, let's get Romans 13 and verse 1. All right. We got to remember who set these kings up. All right. And as we see with our forefathers, they didn't bow the knee to these heathens. Right. But they did follow the orders that they set up. As long as they didn't go against the commandments of God, they what? They fell under submission to them. All right. Read that.
Romans 13 and verse 1.
Why? Because they understood this. Go ahead.
Romans 13 and verse 1. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God.
That's telling you right there, God is the ultimate power. You understand? He sets everything in place of his purpose, of his doing. Go ahead.
The powers that be are ordained of God.
The powers that be are ordained of God. God put these so-called white men in power to rule over us because our sins. Go ahead.
Whosoever therefore resisted the power, resisted the ordinance of God.
So when you don't follow the decrees, the laws, the orders, the statutes, and everything that these so-called white men set up, you're resisting God because he put them in power, right? Again, not to say that we're going to put our stamp on homosexual marriage, right? Say that now pork is the new white meat, right? That's the saying. The point is we're not doing that. We understand the laws and we are going to uphold the laws of God, all right? From there, Romans 12 and 18. Read that right quick.
Romans chapter 12 and verse 18. If it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men.
The Bible says live peaceable with all men. So these laws they set up, we're going to abide by them. Why? Because the Most High say seek the peace. All right, in Jeremiah 28. Last one, Ezra 7 and 25. Most High say seek the peace. All right, live peaceable with all men. All right. We're not malicious. We don't fight. We're not criminals. All right. We're not cruel. We're not hostile. We're a kind people. All right. The Bible teaches us to be that. Right. But when you go against our laws, we're not going to stand for that. All right. We're going to uphold the Most High's commandments. All right.
This is the book of Ezra, chapter 7 and verse 21 and 25. And thou, Ezra, after the wisdom of thy God that is in thine hand, set magistrates and judges, which may judge all the people that are beyond the river, all such as know the laws of thy God.
Also that know the laws of our God, of thy God. Go ahead.
And teach ye them that know them not.
That's what we do today, right? At camp, we teach them that don't know. Go ahead.
And whosoever will not do the law of thy God,
do the law of thy God, the God of Israel. Go ahead.
And the law of the king.
And the law of the king. That's America, right? Or wherever else we go and we dwell. Go ahead.
Let judgment be executed speedily upon him.
That's telling you have to follow the laws of the land. You understand? Period. If not, this was going to happen. Go ahead.
Whether it be unto death or to banishment or to a confiscation of goods or to imprisonment.
Meaning take your possessions. All right. And it says imprisonment. All right. So you can go to jail if you don't what? Follow the laws of the land. All right, Israel? So I pray y'all got something from the class. I pray that y'all understand that we do have to follow the commandments of the kings, the presidents, or leaders, or magistrates, whoever it may be. But we got to uphold and stand by the laws of the Most High without fear and without wavering. All right? I pray y'all got something from the class. With that, we say shalom. Most High Christ bless.
What is a nation? Nation is men leading by example. Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity. Nation is you.
And finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord. His word, his word, his word.